The morning sun rises over El Centro, California, casting long shadows across the streets where a young Cherilyn Sarkeesian once walked, dreaming of escape from poverty and an abusive home life. Few could have predicted that this shy, dyslexic girl with the remarkable voice would transform into Cher, a groundbreaking entertainer whose career would span 6 decades and redefine the boundaries of female stardom. But today, at age 78, the woman who repeatedly reinvented herself and defied every convention of the entertainment industry has been sentenced to life imprisonment, bringing a shocking end to one of the most celebrated careers in American cultural history. Born in El Centro in 1946, Cher's early life was marked by hardship and instability. Her parents divorced when she was just 10 months old, and her mother, Georgia Holt, struggled to support them through a series of marriages and financial difficulties. Young Cherilyn often found herself in foster care when her mother couldn't make ends meet. "Poverty is a state of mind," Cher would often say in later interviews. "I never thought of myself as poor. I thought of myself as someone who hadn't found the right opportunity yet." That opportunity came when she met Sonny Bono in a Los Angeles coffee shop in 1962. Bono, working for legendary producer Phil Spector, saw something special in the striking 16-year-old and helped her secure work as a backup singer. What began as a professional relationship evolved into a romantic partnership, and eventually, one of the most successful musical duos of the 1960s. "I was never in love with singing," Cher once confessed. "I was in love with the idea of becoming someone else, someone bigger than the scared little girl I had been." As Sonny and Cher, they captured the cultural moment with hits like "I Got You Babe" and "The Beat Goes On," their contrasting physical appearances and playful dynamic making them television naturals. The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, which premiered in 1971, established them as household names and showcased Cher's deadpan humor and growing confidence. When her marriage to Sonny collapsed in 1975, amid revelations of his controlling behavior and financial mismanagement, many predicted Cher's career would falter. Instead, she emerged stronger, reinventing herself as a solo variety show host, a disco queen with hits like "Take Me Home," and eventually a serious actress whose performance in Silkwood, 1983, earned her an Oscar nomination. "People always underestimated me," she reflected years later. "They saw the costumes, the attitude, and assumed there was nothing substantial beneath. Their mistake was my opportunity." Her Oscar win for Moonstruck in 1988 silenced critics who had dismissed her as merely a personality rather than a genuine talent. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Cher continued to defy expectations, scoring massive musical comebacks with "If I Could Turn Back Time" and the global smash "Believe," which pioneered the use of auto-tune as a creative effect rather than merely a corrective tool. Behind the spectacular public success, however, Cher faced personal challenges that she largely kept from public view. Chronic health issues, including the debilitating effects of Epstein-Barr virus and a battle with dyslexia that made reading scripts a constant struggle, required her to work harder than many of her peers. Her relationships, particularly with younger men like Rob Camilletti and bagel baker turned biker Tim Medveds, often made her tabloid fodder. "I'm not a woman that needs a man," she famously stated. "I've been a daughter, a wife, a mother, a performer, a friend, but always, always my own person, first." Throughout her career, Cher maintained a reputation for blunt honesty and political outspokenness. Her support for LGBTQ+ rights long predated it becoming fashionable in Hollywood, and her Twitter presence became legendary for its all-caps commentary on everything from politics to personal grievances. Now, in a stunning development that has left the entertainment industry reeling, Cher has been sentenced to life imprisonment following her conviction on charges of conspiracy, fraud, and money laundering in connection with what prosecutors have called the largest charity fraud scheme in American history. According to court documents, the Children's Happiness and Educational Relief Foundation, CHER Foundation, established by the star in 2007, served as a front for a sophisticated criminal enterprise that diverted more than $180 million in donations to offshore accounts controlled by Cher and a network of co-conspirators. The investigation began after financial analysts at the IRS noticed irregularities in the foundation's tax filings in 2021. What initially appeared to be accounting discrepancies led investigators to uncover a complex web of shell companies, fraudulent contracts, and fabricated charitable projects spanning multiple countries. Innocence, with her defense team attempting to portray her as an artist who lacked financial sophistication and had been manipulated by unscrupulous advisors. This strategy collapsed when prosecutors introduced recordings of Cher discussing specific details of the money laundering operation with co-conspirators. The jury deliberated for just 9 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all counts. At the sentencing hearing, Judge Mariana Rodriguez delivered a scathing assessment before announcing the life sentence. Ms. Sarkisian, you have used your considerable fame and the goodwill you earned over decades, not just to enrich yourself, but to exploit the most vulnerable members of society, she stated. You preyed upon the generosity of those who trusted you and the hopes of those who had nothing. The court cannot imagine a more profound betrayal of public trust. The sentencing has sent shockwaves through Hollywood, where Cher had been revered as an icon and elder stateswoman of the entertainment industry. Many colleagues have expressed feelings of betrayal and disbelief as they reconcile the performer they admired with the criminal revealed in court. I'm still processing this, said longtime friend and Mamma Mia co-star Meryl Streep in a brief statement. My heart breaks for the victims who believed in her mission. Their trust was sacred, and its violation unconscionable. For the victims, both donors who contributed to the fraudulent foundation and the intended beneficiaries who never received assistance, the verdict represents a measure of justice, though many have expressed that the financial restitution ordered by the court cannot repair the damage done. I donated my life savings because I believed in Cher and her mission, said retired teacher Eleanor Simmons, who contributed $175,000 to what she thought was a program building schools for girls in Afghanistan. Finding out it was all a lie, that the children in the photos they sent me didn't even exist, it's a betrayal I'll never recover from. As Cher begins her life sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, the entertainment industry faces difficult questions about celebrity-led charitable organizations and the often limited oversight they receive. The case has prompted calls for greater transparency and accountability in the sector, with several legislators proposing reforms that would require more rigorous financial reporting and independent verification of charitable activities. For fans worldwide, the case creates a painful contradiction. The music that provided the soundtrack to so many lives, the films that moved millions, the barrier-breaking career that inspired generations of women, all now exist alongside the reality of calculated criminal behavior that exploited the most vulnerable. The greatest performance Cher ever gave wasn't in any film or concert, concluded Prosecutor Morales in her closing statement. It was the decades-long portrayal of a philanthropist and champion of children, while she systematically exploited both her fans' generosity and children's suffering for personal gain. As one former fan stated outside the courthouse after sentencing, she sang, "If I could turn back time, but some things can't be undone. The money can be repaid, but the trust can never be restored." For a woman who repeatedly defied time through reinvention, plastic surgery, and sheer force of will, the finality of a life sentence at age 78 represents a particularly cruel irony. The star who famously proclaimed, "After a nuclear holocaust, there would be cockroaches and Cher," now faces the reality that her legacy will be defined not by longevity and resilience, but by deception and exploitation. The curtain has fallen on Cher's remarkable career, not with the standing ovation and farewell tour many had imagined, but with the bang of a gavel and the solemn pronouncement, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole.